A big test in Winnipeg as your Seattle Kraken look to close out this road trip with a win.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Seattle hockey fans, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, been your host since the very beginning. Also an accredited media member for Milano Cortina. It's starting to get real, folks. We're going to have a special guest next week join us to talk about the Olympics. We've got the Team USA Summit coming up. Lots of exciting things happening in hockey, but they got to get the ice sheet together. But again, we can talk more about that as things come. Also, I have to give an apologies, mea culpa, to our audio listeners. There was a bit of a mix-up for yesterday's episode. We also have a bonus episode that we haven't posted on audio only yet, but yesterday's episode where I was basically talking about, listen, some of what we're seeing with the Seattle Kraken, you can't only say it's because of the injuries. So I went in, we had a nice clip from our host of Locked On Winnipeg Jets there that was on our ad free, but it somehow didn't make it to the regular feed. So you'll find that up there now. Again, my apologies, but it's Winnipeg. It's Winnipeg tonight, and I just realized I got the wrong backdrop here. So, but we are going to talk about the Winnipeg Jets. This will be the end of a 6-game road trip for the Seattle Kraken. We're going to hear from Lane Lambert. We're going to hear from Matty Beniers. There's also a little bit of a family affair happening for the Lambert family. We'll get into that. But that's what we have on deck for today's episode. I also am planning to do a post-game live because this is, again, the end of our 6-game road trip. I'm very curious to see what the team looks like on the ice tonight. We do have reports that Mason Marchment, and you'll hear this shortly, but we do have reports that Mason Marchment is a game day decision. So who else does that mean might be out of the roster, out of the lineup? I think Ben Meyers has played really well. I talked again on yesterday's episode about Berkeley Catton. Just, I think he's performing well. He's doing everything that he's effectively being asked to do. I think it might come down to, especially when the Kraken get healthy, it might come down to a matter of fit. So anyway, I want you to hear from Matty Beniers. Also peep his shirt. It's leaning into the hockey at the Olympics vibes of it all. Of course, those who've been our everydayers and OGers, I got to cover Matty Beniers at the 2022 Olympics, his first Olympics, my first ever Olympics. This winter Olympics in Milano Cortina, Italy will be my third Olympic Games because I did go to Paris. Milano Cortina will be my third Olympics overall, second Winter Olympics. But let's hear from Matty B, talking a little bit about the team. He was asked about playing with Berkeley Catton, and then we'll also hear a little bit from Lane Lambert ahead of tonight's matchup.
We started out, pretty good in the trip, and, we obviously didn't play the way we wanted to the last 2 games, so I think it's just a good opportunity for us to get back to our game, have a little bit of a bounce-back game, and, they're obviously a good team, but, I think it's good for us to, go through, a little bit of, a couple games not playing so well, so you know what it's like when you're not dialed in, not at your best, and what it's like when you are at your best and you're winning games. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're trying to win every game. That's the mindset, and that's the expectation is, we're a really good team, and we can play with all these teams, and we can beat these teams. So, I don't think we are looking at it as much like that. In terms of margin of error, we definitely played some good games early on. We didn't play our best through the last 2, and now it's time to, come out and play our team game, play a really good game, and see what happens. both games he played, he was really good. He was moving his feet. He was fast. He was making plays. That's the biggest thing for me. Sometimes it's hard coming in, to the NHL, obviously big stage, and you might be a little nervous, and maybe you're not making normal plays you would. But I thought he's done a great job with that. He's moving his feet. He's making plays. He's winning battles. He's going down to block shots. Doing little things to help us win. So I thought he's done a great job. Injuries are tough, always. You never want to see someone that's in the lineup get hurt and not be able to play, but that's just, every team deals with it. We're definitely not the only ones, and, it's not going to be the only time in the season where we have guys out, so you got to learn how to win games without certain guys, and different guys got to step up. I don't think it's, it obviously doesn't help, but it's not really something we got to focus on. It's just, the guys in the lineup tonight are the guys that we're going to have to win this game with.
Winnipeg winning 5 games in a row, obviously. What do you see from them in their game that makes them so dangerous?
They're just, hard to play against all over the ice. They don't make many mistakes. And then, they obviously have some real skill up front to make you pay when you make mistakes. So, yeah, it's going to be... it's going to be a hard game for both sides.
Matty Beniers talking there. First of all, I guess the facial hair was more than just for the Mariners for Matty B. He kind of alluded to that. We've talked about it on the episode before. But what he said, he said a lot of great things, including complimenting Berkeley Catton. But what he said about the injuries, and again, apologies for our audio listeners, because this was a point of emphasis on yesterday's episode, but that's up for you now. A point of emphasis on yesterday's episode was you can't only talk about the injuries as to why this team maybe hasn't been able to get as many wins as they want, including having 2 regulation losses in their last 2 games. But what he said is that the guys that are in the lineup are the guys that are going to have to step up, and that no truer words could be spoken. But when we played yesterday's episode and we heard from our host of Locked On Winnipeg Jets, the big piece there was effectively that the Seattle Kraken maybe lacks some depth. That wasn't what I said on the episode, but it is something that we knew was a concern coming into this season. How many times have I talked about in the off season that just because, and I know someone dinged me, getting into semantics, but there's this narrative ahead of the last 2 losses in regulation. There was this narrative that, this is the best start for the Seattle Kraken. And that's true. Going and gaining points in their first 5 games, right? That was huge for us. But that being said, just because it was the best ever start for the Seattle Kraken up until the most recent regulation losses, that doesn't mean that it's good enough to do what this team needs to do, which is to improve as far as positioning, improve as far as back-to-backs, improve when it comes to goaltending. All of these things need to happen for this Kraken squad. Sorry, I think my mom is calling me. I'll call you back, Mom. She doesn't watch the show. Anyway, I will call my mother back. Hopefully everything's okay. But that's my point, is that we can't get so caught up in a Pollyanna-esque, oh, well, this is the best start through 5 that we've ever had. Oh, well, we've got a lot of injuries. We can't blame the players. It's not about blame. It's about accountability. Those are different things. And I am learning that lesson in life myself, as many of us do. There's a difference between taking blame or pointing fingers versus taking accountability. And you heard Matty Beniers say, we have to step up. We're working with what we have, and that's not going to change until it does. The Seattle Kraken are dealing with injuries, and you got to have guys that can step up. And so I think we've seen a few times that guys have been able to step up. Ben Myers comes to mind. Josh Mahura comes to mind. And we still need to continue to push the needle. So, those are some of the things that I'm thinking about when it comes to the Seattle Kraken overall. We're taking on a team. You heard Piper Shaw ask Matty B about this. Winnipeg team. They're 5-1-0 right now, including 5 consecutive wins. They've won over Calgary, Nashville, Philly, the New York Islanders, the LA Kings. Their only loss on the season coming to Dallas. And this is a team that we have to be weary of. They also have some guy named Connor Hellebuyck in net, 927 save percentage. None of our goaltenders who we're expecting to see dressed today have a 900 save percentage. 890 for Joey Daccord, who, again, I've said in the last few episodes, keep an eye on Joey Daccord. I don't know that it's that he's hurt. We obviously haven't had any indication that he's hurt, but something seems like it's not quite clicking. I don't know the best way to describe it, but I'm keeping eyes on Joey Daccord. I'm keeping eyes on how Philip Grubauer is utilized. His big message to us last season, when he came back from his AHL stint, at exit interviews, when we heard from him in preseason, is that he didn't have enough repetitions last year. So is he going to get more this year? Is that why we didn't opt to do a buyout? Is that why we kept 3 goaltenders? What is the plan? Because we've only seen him once, and it wasn't the kind of start that we need from our goaltending period, but I don't think he did himself any favors, Philip Grubauer, that is, in showing that he is a goaltender that can be reliable. And while that is true, what's also true, and what Lane Lambert has said before, is that defensively, this team they have to be better. They have to execute better on the defensive side when it comes to, we heard from Lane Lambert the other night talking about, we got to be better at faceoffs. And I'm not just talking about winning the faceoff and the centerman or whomever is taking the faceoff, winning the faceoff, or us gaining possession off the faceoff. I'm talking about if we see our guy in the circle at the dot tied up and the puck is right there, or the puck shoots out. Are we in position? Are we putting ourselves in the best position to win that puck battle? That's an example of a 50-50 puck battle, perhaps, that you can win. And so it's those hustle plays that have to happen more regularly for the Seattle Kraken team to be successful. This is a lunch pail, blue-collar team through and through. And the only way that a hardworking team is going to be successful is if they work hard. It's not that you don't make mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen, but you have to be able to do what you do best, or what you're capable of doing as best as you can. Perfect, maybe not, but you have to show up and get the work done. What was that thing that was going around on social media? You got to show up if you want to get it done. If you want to get it done, you got to show up. This team has to show up. They have to show up. There's no excuses. And I'm not going to make them for this team. I'm not going to make them for this team. I quite honestly, I'm tired of that. Oh, the injuries. Oh, let's give Andre Burakovsky a chance. Oh, what blah, 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 blah. When is this just going to be a team that, again, is not making excuses, but is taking accountability and is proactively working to sharpen their toolkit, sharpen the saw, sharpen the axe, whatever tool you want to use. It's a Stephen A. Covey thing for all of my leadership development nerds out there. Coming up next on the show, a few more notes and quotes specifically from Lane Lambert. I'll get you ready for tonight's game. We did a little bit of that on yesterday's episode. Again, apologies for our audio only folks. There was a little bit of a mix up on the upload. Also have a bonus episode where I was joined by Ava Wood and Joe Dabney. We talked about Joe being at the Capitals game, Ava on the same day following PWHL Seattle around. So that's some bonus content. It's up on YouTube because we went live, but I'll also have that for audio that will be coming up on this week, but later today, of course, the Kraken have a game, and I will go live post-game to talk about hopefully a win, but if not, what we learned from this 6-game road trip. Today's episode of Locked on Kraken brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses, doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. The process is fast, simple, and it's private and handled by real doctors. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. Visit Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode of Locked on Kraken also brought to you by FanDuel. We know the NHL season is here. We got a game tonight for the Seattle Kraken. It's also NFL season, and either way, FanDuel has you covered and with an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're talking parlays, player props, futures bets is something that we talk about on the show. You can even just follow the live lines during the game. And again, they have those little boxes. Green box means it's looking good. Red box means already not good. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thanks as always for making Locked on Kraken a part of your daily destination. Erica L. Ayala here, your host of Locked on Kraken, also the founder of Black Rosie Media. And a lot of the people that you see contributing on Locked on Kraken, they also are contributors to Black Rosie Media. Joe Dabney is literally the creator of our logo. And we have Ava Wood, who's been helping out with PWHL Seattle. There's some new things, exciting things coming network-wide. And that's why we're building our street team. That was on our bonus episode yesterday. We're building a street team and content creators, some that will be on camera, some that are behind the camera. It's going to incorporate Seattle hockey. We really want to bring comprehensive coverage and do that for you here on the Locked on Kraken podcast. So to our everydayers, thank you so much. And there will be some ways that you can contribute even more consistently, more regularly. But first, we're streamlining some things. We have some things we're going to be offering to King 5 and some new things that they have available. They're going to share assets with us when they can. So again, we're building, we're growing always constantly. And that's what we want to see this Kraken team do. We want to see them build. We want to see them grow. And you're going to hear from Lane Lambert right now in the next clips that I have for you, talking about, what he's made so far of the road trip. But he was asked about kind of culture and kind of what he inherited versus how he's trying to move forward. And I thought he had a really interesting answer to that with regard to what this Kraken culture is and if this season or in what ways the culture of the team this season is impacted, of course, by what came before. Here's Lane Lambert. As soon as the video plays, here's Lane Lambert.
Well, Coach, just want to start with, we saw Mason Marchment out there. Do you expect him to be good to play tonight?
I expect him to be a game-time decision.
Okay. And then obviously the tear here that the Winnipeg Jets are on, what do you see from their game that makes them so dangerous?
Well, they've got an incredible top line with Shifley, those two guys. Morrissey, great defenseman. They're a big team. They're a veteran group that has been and has won a lot, and they're good at home. They have last year they had a heck of a home record. They don't have many. They didn't lose too many guys. I guess Ehlers, but they're a hard team to play against at home. So. Real good hockey team.
And obviously strong goaltending as well. What kind of mindset do the guys need to have when it comes to volume?
Volume and traffic. You have to get in front of a goalie who's this good so that, you have the opportunity for him not to be able to see the puck, because if he is, he tracks it well, and he's big. For me, I don't want to get into the inheritance culture. That's in the past. We're trying to build an identity and a standard of, commitment, sacrifice, play well, structure, details. And in doing that, and if you do that with the work ethic combined, you'll give yourself a chance to win every night. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
So that's Lane Lambert talking a few things. He talked about going up against Connor Hellebuyck tonight. You got to get in front of net was effectively what he's talking about. You got to take away his eyes. It has to be a dynamic game in the offensive zone. And we've talked about that certainly in the offseason. We talked about that during this season. We know that Mason Marchment was brought on the team to have more of a net front presence. It's still early on. It's still early in the season. I think I was maybe expecting something a little different from Marchment, but also he's been injured. So reserve the right to get a larger sample size. But at the end of the day, net front presence, Jaden Schwartz is our most sandpaper guy, I think, still. Yanni Newman, we know, has been asked to use his size a little more. He has to get back to that. We've seen him be effective when he gets to the net. But, missing guys like Gaudreau, because, again, ahead of tonight's game number 8 for the Seattle Kraken, Capo Caco out. He's got nice size and can move the puck well. Riker Evans out. Freddie Gaudreau, the aforementioned Freddie Gaudreau out. Jared McCann out. Mason Marchment was listed, and I talked about this, I think, on yesterday's episode, but Mason Marchment listed on the injury report as out with a lower body injury, but we also heard that he is, he's listed as day-to-day, but as of today, he's a game-time decision, so we'll see what happens. Final contest of a 6-game road stretch for the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken are 2-6-4 all-time against the Winnipeg Jets. 12 games overall, 1-4-1 in Canada Life Center. A few other things that I want to point out. The Seattle Kraken, when it comes to scoring, we are much better when we score first. 3-1-1 when we score first. We are 2-2 when trailing after the first period. We are 0-2-0 when trailing after the second frame. So getting a lead is important for this Kraken team. You heard Lane Lambert talk about, you got to play a hard-working style, and you give yourself a chance to win games if you play that hard-working, defensive, disciplined game. This Kraken team has to score early, and we'd love if they score often. But the name of the game here, and something that Lambert said also, is about volume, right? We have to be able to pepper the net. And I know we've talked about that in the last handful of episodes because, that Capitals game, man, the volume was not there. And that has to be something that this Kraken team is able to turn around. And again, like Matty Beniers said, the excuse that, okay, you're missing some guys, everyone who plays hockey should be able to shoot towards the net. And it's a bonus if you have some goaltenders that are not afraid to fire it down there. But you're a hockey player. You have to shoot the puck. Everyone can do that. And we need everyone. We literally need everyone to do it. Coming up next, though, a family affair, a fun little look into Lane Lambert and why this particular game, now he was just back in Washington, he was just back in Toronto, but why is this game against Winnipeg special to the point where he has family in the stands and I guess also on the ice? We'll talk about that as we close out this episode, a game day episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those first few games of the season. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Now, I love using Game Time. I don't use it for NHL tickets because I can just use my media pass usually, but you can view your view from the seats on the app. You can make sure that you have all of the upfront costs if you are balling on a budget like your girl here, and so what we love about Game Time is that you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets, NHL tickets, NFL tickets, concert tickets, theater tickets, with Game Time. So go ahead and download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. That's over at Game Time, of course. Swipe, tap, ticket, go! Thank you, everydayers, for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. We are here for you Monday through Friday. Again, I'm so sorry. I really didn't realize that audio file had some issues. We did have some upload issues. So again, apologies there, but we are coming to you every day. Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, accredited media member for Milano Cortina. That's right, the next Olympics coming up so soon. But also a contributor over at CBS Sports, where I cover mostly women's basketball, but I dabble into a few things here and there, including the hockey. Okay, this is going to be a special game. For those who didn't know, Lane Lambert has a nephew that's in the National Hockey League. And who do you think he plays for? Just a guess. That's right, the Winnipeg Jets. Brad Lambert, he was actually born in Europe. His birthplace is Finland, and he spent some time in Finland, but is Canadian. And he was drafted by Winnipeg 30th overall in the 2022 draft, first round 30th pick. And, he has been with the Winnipeg Jets now and has contributed at the NHL level for this being his third consecutive season. Right now, he just has the one game played in 25-26. He's got 2 assists overall. So he's still a young buckaroo on the come up, but we have an inside track to what to expect from Brad Lambert. And also Lane Lambert kind of talked a little bit about his nephew as well as some of his young stars on this Seattle Kraken team.
And of course, your nephew in the other team as well. Is it special to be able to be sharing this moment with him today?
Yeah, it is, just as long as, he doesn't go too crazy out there. But certainly exciting time. My mom is in here from Saskatchewan, and yeah, it's good. It's good to see him in their lineup. We'll see where we go.
Would you mind sharing a little bit of what kind of a relationship you've had with Brad in like the hockey connection between the two of you over the years?
Yeah, I mean, he's, obviously he grew up in Finland, right? And so I didn't see a whole bunch of him, just in the summers and whatnot. And then he's progressed himself over here into North America and into Seattle in junior and gone to the Memorial Cup and whatnot. Just watched him play. He's a good player. He's got tremendous speed, and he's a kid who wants the puck, and that's a special thing. You got to want the puck.
What have you liked about the start for your group?
Again, I think that we've done a really good job. I think we got away from it a little bit, and that's part of the learning process for our hockey team. It's an everyday game in a National Hockey League. You can't pick and choose when you're going to play. It doesn't matter if you have injuries or if you're healthy. Nobody feels sorry for you. Nobody cares. I just didn't think we played very well in Washington, but I will tell you that I think we've done a really good job. Our players have done a really good job of embracing what we're trying to accomplish. And I've said right from day one that it's never perfect, and there's going to be some peaks and valleys, I guess, as we learn and grow. But our commitment level and our commitment to buying into what we're talking about has been very good. Our players have done a really good job of that.
A couple games here with Berkeley Catton in the lineup as well. What have you thought of how his game has transferred in-game action at this level?
Yeah, I've liked his game. Again, he's no different than any other young player that has just, there's certain little things from a, positional standpoint, things that he's, gonna improve on. But, just as I said about my nephew with the Winnipeg, he's the same way. He wants the puck and demands the puck, and that's a special quality. So, I think he's played well.
So there you go, a family affair for the Lamberts tonight, and I feel like the jury is still out when it comes to Berkeley Catton. We had a comment earlier today. Also, I think this fan base, rightfully and understandably so, is a little bit confused as to what we're seeing as far as Catton's development, who was an 8th overall pick, as opposed to Shane Wright, who was a 4th overall pick. I know I've given my 2 cents about Shane. I don't know that I have a good read on Berkeley Catton, but again, different general manager. But Jenna over on YouTube saying, I don't understand why Catton is getting so much more time than Shaner got at the same phase of development. My only hypothesis is that he's only going to get 9 games, and Shaner was in it for the long haul. Interesting. I mean, we ultimately did see Shane Wright go back down, but I get what you said. I know Jenna's also not super high on Ryan Winterton. I'm not bothered by him and his game. I mean, everyone has a lot of room to step up, including Matty Beniers, who had a solid start to the game, and we need him to get back into those offensive ways. We've also talked a lot about Stevenson. Ricky AZ 8640 saying Stevenson has no upside, plays way too many minutes. He still has the most minutes on the team, let alone among centermen. That's me sharing that, not me reading. Ricky continues by saying his defense is awful. That's Stevenson. No reason he deserves 50% more minutes than Wright. But going back to Catton is fine. He's going to make mistakes, but that's how he'll learn. Won't learn anything going back to Spokane. Did I say that right? Spokane, right? I always want to say Kane because, well, Kane is like a name, like a player that I will not talk about. Anyway, team has 8 points after 7 games, same as last year. Hardly the best ever. And Ricky, yes, I get what you're saying. We're at the same point now, but 2 games ago, before the regulation losses, we had our best start ever. That's what I was referring to. But again, that's not even the point, because I'm not being Pollyanna about the first 5 games being our best start ever, because as I've said on the last few episodes, when you're at the foundation level, when you're sub basement level, I mean, yeah, you can say it's our best start ever, but it only kind of highlights how bad it's been prior to. And I said this in the offseason. I said it on yesterday's episode. Just because it's the best ever, whatever that was. And yes, Ricky, I know we're on pace. And Matty Beniers effectively talked about that also in the clip, so we should. I get it. But at the time, at one point in time, we had the best start ever for the Kraken. But the best ever, especially knowing that other teams are also getting better, the best ever might not be good enough. And right now, it's not good enough. We need wins. We need to figure out how to win hard games consistently, and then hope that just by grinding out these games, that the finesse comes in, that the camaraderie, the connectivity, the communication, that the flow, the ease comes. But you have to start, especially for a lunch pail style blue collar team, you have to start by winning the hard way. Foundational. It has to happen, because if we don't win the hard way, guess what? We're not winning hockey games. You don't have to take my word for it. Lane said it on the clips I shared today. He said it after the Caps game. He said it after the Ottawa. Like, I could go on and on. He knows this. The team knows this. And so I'm not making excuses, including for Berkeley Catton. Yeah, I get it. He's got to learn, but he's got to shoot. just like everybody else. Enjoy the game tonight. I'll be on a little bit later post game to talk about it, get a full scope of this 6-game road trip. And then it's pretty much a quick turnaround as the Seattle Kraken this weekend will be back at Climate Pledge Arena taking on an interesting Edmonton team. But let's not be the team that helps them right the ship. Okay, thank you as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. If you're not already, follow us on social media, subscribe. Comments are huge. We want to continue to grow this channel. Again, we have some fun things coming down the pike, and we have to make sure that there's an audience. And so subscribing is a great way for us to measure and gauge if what we're doing is effective and working here. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, and we hold fast. We stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken. I'll catch you after the game. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel. That's where the live stream studio will be set up, and you can hit a notification bell to be reminded when we go live post game. All right. Thanks again, everybody. I'll catch you on the next episode.